Just a few days ago, Argentinian player Diego Schwartzman announced that his professional career is coming to an end next season. While it seems like an early announcement, it's something that could have been anticipated considering his performances over the last year and his public declarations as well. Diego himself had already given hints about it, but now it's official. He's most likely retiring after the Argentina Open to be played in Buenos Aires next February. What a career he's had though. Certainly a lot more than he could have ever expected, and definitely a lot more than most people expected from him. Diego Schwartzman, named after Argentinian legendary football player Diego Maradona, started playing tennis at the age of 5 at a club in Tigre, Buenos Aires. The center court of Club Náutico Acoa, the place where it all started, is now named after him. What a turn of events, huh? This is of course great homage to Diego, but it's not something minor at all. It's an important tennis club in Argentina, which for example hosts ATP Challenger events regularly. It's a big deal. The start of his tennis career was not easy. He played a lot of junior tournaments around Argentina, but was never among the very best in his category. His height was, even back then, already an issue. Doctors told him from a young age that he would most likely never be over 1.70 meters tall, so he had to accept that and work his way in despite having that disadvantage. Nobody ever thought he would make it to the greater stages, but he and his family believed, and that's all that mattered. His parents had a little clothing business that had some good and not so good moments. At the time Diego was a teenager, the situation was not the best, but his parents, Ricardo and Silvana, tried not to demonstrate how bad the situation was to Diego and his 3 siblings. Over those years when El Peque started traveling abroad, a lot of sacrifices had to be made. His mother helped him sell silicone bracelets of football teams to raise some money, and his father eventually sold his car in order to help him with his travels. Apart from their own sacrifices, they also asked for help from known people who were in a better economical position to help finance Diego's career, and some of them did. Knowing about all the sacrifices made by himself and his family to pursue that tennis dream, the fact that he made it so far is simply incredible. And as you now understand, it's not a miracle at all. It's the fruit of some very hard work, not only from Diego, but from his loved ones as well. It was in 2010 that he officially turned professional, even though he had already played a few futures tournaments in Argentina in 2008 and plenty of tournaments in the region in 2009 when he got his first ATP points. His first futures title came the year he turned pro in 2010 in Bolivia. His career continued as his results improved exponentially. 2012 in particular was a breakthrough year. Between June and August, Diego won 5 consecutive futures tournaments which catapulted him inside the top 250 in the ATP rankings for the first time. And by that time, in spite of his height, there was no doubt he was a good player. While nobody expected him to reach the pinnacle of the sport, people were very surprised by El Peque's talent. Being so short in comparison to the other players, he always stood out from the rest. His 2012 season would come to a magnificent end when he won his first ATP Challenger title at home in Buenos Aires in October. In 2013, he reached a further 4 finals at Challenger level but couldn't win any of them. The consistency he would then accustom us all to was already appearing back then. Throughout that year, he also played his first few matches at ATP level. However, it was in 2014 that he had his breakthrough year, winning 4 Challenger titles as well as the ATP Challenger Tour finals played in Brazil. Apart from that, he played his first Grand Slam main draw at Roland Garros, coming for the qualies, and reached the top 100 for the first time. Plenty of milestones accomplished. 2015 was his first full year on tour, which saw him play his first ATP Tour semifinal in Istanbul, which he lost to no other than Roger Federer. The year after, though, he would take revenge and win his first ATP title in that same tournament, beating Grigor Dimitrov in a very controversial final. Towards the end of that season, he played another ATP final, which he lost to Richard Gasquet in Antwerp. In 2017, some big results eventually started happening. He made the quarterfinals in Monte Carlo, his very first Masters 1000 quarterfinals, and his first Grand Slam third round just a few weeks after the French Open, almost beating Novak Djokovic. By this time, he was already somewhat expected to perform on clay, but not on hard courts. Still, he made his second Masters 1000 quarterfinals in Canada and his first Grand Slam quarterfinals at the US Open. That was very impressive at the time. He finished the year inside the top 25, where he would stay for the next couple of years. In 2018, he won the most important title of his career in Rio de Janeiro, an ATP 500 event, without dropping a set. Later on, he reached the quarterfinals at Roland Garros, where he was beating the king of clay himself, Rafael Nadal, until the rain stopped the match. He ended up losing in 4 sets. His ranking at the end of the year was 14 in the world, but he had already made it all the way up to 11 a few months earlier. The top 10 seemed like just a question of time. In 2019, he reached yet another Slam quarterfinal, losing to Nadal once again at the US Open quarterfinals. However, his best year was incoming. Unlike many others who struggled a lot during the pandemic, both tennistically and personally, El Peque somehow peaked during those hard times. While it was not easy to travel during those days, he found a great companion in his girlfriend, who made things a lot easier for him. And as we know, when things are going fine outside the court, it usually translates into some good tennis inside the court as well. Under those crazy conditions, he had 2 of the best tournaments of his career in Rome and Roland Garros. He beat Nadal for the first time in Rome and made the final of that tournament, his first and only Masters 1000 final to date, which he eventually lost to Djokovic. Incredibly, these results helped him make his top 10 debut, reaching a career-high ranking of number 8 in the world. This allowed him to play the ATP Finals in London that November. In just a few words, an absolutely insane season. And just like that, he proved absolutely everyone wrong. From 2021 onwards, results haven't been the best though. The highlight, knowing Diego's love for his country, must definitely be his title on home soil in Buenos Aires in 2021. Despite not having any other awesome results during a lapse of time, he maintained himself inside the best 30 players in the world until 2023. 2023 was a very rough year. For some reason, things just didn't click from the beginning, and things went from bad to worse. This started making Diego think about his future. After all, being a professional athlete requires a lot of effort, and when things aren't going the right way, it's very difficult to maintain. El Peque was never afraid to talk about these issues openly. He was just not enjoying the game anymore. Lacking a bit of motivation and not enjoying the grind as much as he used to, he still decided to continue into the 2024 season, which so far hasn't been great either. Hopefully now that he's announced his retirement, he can play more freely. And why not? Snatch some good wins along the way. Even though once a decision of the caliber of retirement has been made, it's not very likely to be reversed. If he can only say goodbye to the sport that has given him so much with a smile and enjoying the game as much as he used to, that would be the most fair thing. So from now on, every time Diego plays, give the little guy some love for him to have the best last few months. If you enjoyed today's video, don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel so as not to miss any of the upcoming ones. I'll catch you in a few days with a new one.